Good morning. Can everyone hear me? Yes, okay. Oh, how about now? Yes, okay. I was looking in the back and I see head shakes. Still? No? Okay. Thank you. Just a small announcement, there is no internet, so we apologize for that at the moment. It's out in the entire building. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Laverne Lewis, TriMet's board president. Welcome. Welcome to TriMet's Board of Directors meeting for May 28th, 2025. We're gathered here at our home here in One Main Place in our TriMet boardroom for our May 2025 board meeting. We are not live streaming this morning on YouTube, and we have we do have Thomas Kim, our vice president, who is out today. Also, J.T. Flowers is out as well this morning. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you for joining us and being here today. We will begin with our public forum for those who are present and have signed up to testify. Unfortunately, we will not be having anyone here virtually. Members of the public who wish to testify will be coming up this morning to present. For those offering testimony, please direct your comments to TriMet and our transit-related services rather than other topics. We also ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. You will note that there will be a timer to help you with this request, and we ask that you respect your time and the time of those who wish to follow and testify as well. If you are unable or your testimony, which is very, oh, okay. Sorry, little note there. If you it's going to be, your testimony is over 3 minutes, we do let you know that you can present it in writing, and our staff will make sure that the board receive your testimony. Just an important note, please note that in your testimony, the board does not respond, but we will have our general manager make sure that staff follow up, speak with you. If you have to leave early, someone will connect with you. But that is important on YouTube. Welcome to those that are watching. Okay, I will call you up 2 at a time. We have quite a few for testimony this morning. I will call you up, and please forgive me, but I will definitely do my best to make sure I say your name correctly, and please feel free to correct me. First up, please, Mark Connect, please come forward, and Dorothy Von Eggers. Thank you. Yep, she's moving the chair. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Dear President Lewis, Board Directors, and TriMet managers, I'm here today to say thank you. I've spent many months giving testimony at the board meetings, and I feel it's only right to come back when there's something good to say. And that is thank you. Thank you for hearing your customers' concerns regarding the changes for Bus 96 that was set to take place in just over a week from now. I know the return to work executive order was a game changer for the delay due to the increase in ridership, and I want to say a big kudos to Sam DeSuze Jr., Alan Leto, Tom Mills, Robert Kellogg, President Lewis, and the rest of the Board of Directors for recognizing this fact. There's a line in the Kevin Costner film, Field of Dreams movie, that says, if you build it, they will come. Well, I'd like to say to TriMet, If you keep it, they will come. They will come from all over, not just the suburbs around Tualatin, but everywhere. I've seen a lot of new faces these past 2 months and asking them where they're coming from. One is an appeals officer for the IRS, and she drives into the Tualatin Park and Ride from Salem. Another gentleman I spoke with drives in from Jefferson, Oregon. I met a caregiver who lives in King City. She shares her home and car with her elderly mother. On the days that her mother has errands to run, Mom drops her off at Tualatin Park and Ride so she can catch the 96 into Portland, where she then goes to care for a disabled member of our community. Your decision to delay the implementation has been met with heartfelt gratitude from everyone who rides 96. Taking the bus off the freeway would have no doubt increased people's commute time by an additional 45 minutes to an hour. For those that drive in from Salem, that's a 2-hour commute one way. Thank you. Thanks to your decision, those who have no choice but to ride the bus will have more time with their families, and for those who would have driven into downtown, this pause is keeping more cars off the freeways and has spared them hundreds of dollars a month in fuel, parking, and wear and tear. I know you will be revisiting this issue later on this year to analyze what's next for Bus 96 in the summer of 2026. There's a group of us riders who gather and record the numbers during different runs. I'd like to come back in the fall and share those numbers and see where we go from there. Keeping in mind that it's not all about numbers. As the visually impaired woman attested to at the March meeting, it's also about meeting the needs for people from all walks of life. Respectfully, Dorothy Von Eggers. Thank you.
Mark? Yes, you can proceed. Right in front.
Is it on now?
Yes.
All right. Yes, my name is Mark Kneck, and as you all know, I do a lot of advocacy work for veterans and people with disabilities. And they've already had their grand opening out to Hillsborough Stadium now. On the 4th of July, they will honor the first responders and veterans on the 6th of July. And then also, I don't know when they're going to have the air show out at McMinnville again, but it seems to me that I know you people have tried to do something, but it, advocating gets to be a tiresome job, but I do it because I believe in it. And Sam, are you a Vietnam veteran? There was one board of director here that was a Vietnam veteran. But anyway, I would appreciate it if you would try and do something for veterans to get them to these things, because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have veterans doings if you can't get veterans there, especially the ones that don't have transportation. And then I just got something from TriMet here. I guess I'll come up to the office here and talk to them about this, because I don't understand what's going on here with this. So are we going to do some changes with that again? Again, we've always been able to use our TriMet card on the lip too. Is that are they going to do something different now? Okay, well, anyway, I'll come up and talk to that later. But anyway, that's what I do. But I would hope that you could try and find something for the air show over at McMinnville this fall. I think they're going to have it on Labor Day. I have not got that confirmed yet, but I will check on that and I will let you know. But I do appreciate your effort trying to do something. And I know a lot of the bus drivers that are veterans too. So, and see what you can do, and I appreciate that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. General Manager?
We'll follow up with Mark directly. If Anessa, you and Eileen can really meet with Mark directly, and then we'll follow up with each other. She will be meeting with you very quickly here.
Thank you, Mark Connect, and thank you, Dorothy Van Eggers. Next, I would like to invite up Mary Heinrich and Sarah Critter. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Henrich.
Henrich.
Yeah.
Yes, Mary.
That's fine. Been called worse. Do I start? Do I wait or start?
I'll just give her a moment
Oh,
to
there.
have a
Sorry.
seat.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Yes, you can start.
Good morning, Dr. Lewis and board. I'm Mary Lou Henrich, a lifetime resident of Portland, live on Mount Tabor, and I've never been to a board meeting of TriMet or talked to anybody, but I have ridden the bus off and on over my whole life. And I know the news is always so negative about, oh my gosh, it's scary to ride the public transportation, and oh my goodness. And so I started talking to some neighbors in my neighborhood and said, we should do something. Actually, I was spurred on by Mayor Wilson's State of Portland address that was so upbeat and so earnest. I think if you can give him a word, it's earnest. And I left that meeting and said, we need to do something positive, just something little. So I contacted some neighbors, and yesterday we took our first Tabor to town bus trip, 16 of us.
Yes.
And we met at the corner of 71st and Yamhill and got on the number 15 and proceeded downtown to the Midtown Beer Garden, where we had our choice of all kinds of food, and we had dinner and some camaraderie, and we're hoping to do this once a month, and posted it on Facebook. And already just a few minutes ago, I got a response from someone in Laurelhurst who said, maybe we should do this. And I think that is something that we would like to encourage other neighborhoods to, as people get older, and they get, the fear stuff that's out there. Everybody's getting scared about everything, and it's like ridiculous. The way we break that down is by being neighbors and saying this isn't really true. We had a wonderful bus ride. The driver was very nice. Our way back was fine. And at the end of the evening, everyone said, well, when's our next one? So I think it's going to be on June 24th or something like that. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you and to say things aren't all bad and we can make them better. And I think it's just kind of one little thing at a time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary.
Hi, my name is Sarah Kreider, and I work for North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District. I'm the Sports and Recreation Manager. And on behalf of the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District, I respectfully request the reinstatement of the North Clackamas Park bus stop. This stop was removed in the summer of 2016 due to low ridership. However, the community landscape has significantly changed over the past decade, and the need for this stop has grown considerably. The area surrounding the former stop is now more vibrant and utilized more than ever before. A major factor is the opening of the Bonaventure Senior Living Community nearby, which has increased local demand for accessible transit options. Additionally, the Milwaukee Community Center, located within North Clackamas Park, has evolved from a senior-focused facility to a comprehensive community hub serving people of all ages and backgrounds across the region. Public transportation is essential to the mission of our community center, and as the community center, as the only community center in North Clackamas County and one of the largest and most active in Oregon, the Milwaukee Community Center provides critical services to approximately 500 to 800 people daily. The center thrives with around 50 classes per quarterly term, including mind and body, enrichment, fitness, health, and wellness classes, as well as over 26 youth classes and camps. Just last year, we had over 9,443 people participate in our recreation classes alone. Special events held at the center can attract an average attendance of over 400 participants per event. It is a vital facility where low-income seniors can access free meals, social services, and companionship, and where the broader community finds connection, support, and enrichment. North Clackamas Park, adjacent to the community center and the Sarah Height Memorial Rose Garden, spans 45 acres and features softball and baseball fields. Seasonal softball and baseball tournaments bring in around 30,000 players and spectators annually from April through October. Community events such as movies in the park, concerts in the park, and Fiesta Latina in El Parque draw crowds exceeding 500 in attendance. Despite this level of activity and community significance, the North Clackamas Park and the Milwaukee Community Center remain nearly inaccessible by public transportation. The nearest bus stop is across Highway 224 at Lake and Rusk Roads, a location that is not only distant but also poses serious safety risks, especially for non-driving seniors, individuals with disabilities, and families with young children. In closing, NCPRD urges TriMet to reinstate the bus stop serving North Clackamas Park and the Milwaukee Community Center. This change will support community well-being, increase transit access, and ensure that essential services and programs are accessible to all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. General Manager, do you have any comments?
No, Tom Mills and staff will be meeting with her directly after our presentation, so someone will be waiting on you in the back of the room.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Henrick and Sarah Critcher. Next, I would like to invite Ryan Hugagen. You're going to come up by yourself this time. It's okay. It's okay. Welcome.
Bring a buddy if you,
Yes.
if you need one.
I've got a buddy.
No. Do you have a buddy here with you?
Stevie, is she signed up as well?
Oh, because I was told there's a team. So the three of you can come up together. Okay. So Stevie, Mo, and Krista Kendall, the three of you together?
Just the two of us.
Just the two. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Hello, TriMet Board of Commissioners. Thank you for your time today. My name is Ryan. Excuse me. My name is Ryan Hashigan. I'm a business owner in Old Town, and I'm the director of the Steelbridge Skate Park Coalition. The Steelbridge Skate Park and Public Plaza will be a transit-oriented skate park in the center of the city that will welcome youth field trips on transit and will be incredibly well served by TriMet, being located at the nexus of the MAX network. It appears upon some cursory technical analysis, 20% of the site project is likely to be utilized for a TriMet substation expansion. We are confident that the team working with TriMet technical experts and engineers will be able to find a mutually beneficial solution that meets the needs and aspirations of TriMet's regional rail network while also realizing the vision of this world-class skate park and public plaza. This project will activate North Waterfront and includes a crucial crosswalk of NATO Parkway, serving as a gateway into Old Town. We look forward to working with TriMet and Portland Parks to build this world-class skate park and plaza, a project funded by Portland Commissioner Ryan's $15 million investment in SDCs for downtown park development after 20-plus years of advocacy by skaters, businesses, and Old Town neighbors. We're also excited to activate the adjacent long-underutilized Old Town MAX station with new patrons and the Push Movement youth drop-in space and skate center in Peabot's Smart Park Garage along the MAX Old Town platform. Thank you, and thank TriMet staff for your leadership and collaborative approach to problem solving as we work to build a new landmark destination in Old Town, alongside and served by TriMet services. Thank you.
Thank you. Stevie?
Hi, I'm Stevie Moe. I'm the Operations Director for Push Movement, and we're a local nonprofit that builds healthy, inclusive communities through skateboarding and creative self-expression. Over the past couple years, our organization has worked closely with the Steelbridge Coalition to see the Steelbridge Skate Park project go from a dream to a reality. I'm here today to thank TriMet for collaborating with us on this endeavor. It has come to our attention that after some technical analysis of the project site, that TriMet could potentially utilize 20% of the site for a substation expansion. However, the Steelbridge Committee, along with other stakeholders, are confident that with the technical expertise of TriMet, we will be able to find a mutually beneficial solution to meet the needs of TriMet regional rail workers while realizing the vision of this world-class skate park. Through the construction of this one-of-a-kind through the construction of this one-of-a-kind skate park, we will be connecting regional rail and transit networks, building a space that is not only for the people of Portland, but for all those that make Portland their travel destination. Having a park in this specific area makes this park one of the most accessible parks in the region. My organization works closely with youth, and being able to have safe, accessible places for the youth to skate and build community is what we strive to make happen. We also regularly utilize the public transit to transport our participants from one place to skate to the next. Our next endeavor is to build a small covered skate park in the Smart Park Garage at Southwest First and Davis. This location can help activate the zone around the future Stillbridge site and is also accessible for all the youth we currently work with. We have programming at Park Row School District, Portland Public Schools, and Centennial School District, all of which will easily be able to access the space due to the TriMet's vast transit system. I really appreciate your time today, and I look forward to figuring out a solution for all. This park is going to be world-renowned, and is very exciting seeing this come to fruition after so much hard work and diligence. So thank you again, TriMet. We couldn't do this work without you.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan and Stevie. Before you start, Krista, General Manager, do you have response for Stevie and Ryan?
First of all, I want to just thank you for coming forward to testify today in support of the skate park at the Steel Bridge, because I want you all to know, and I know there's others out, that TriMet is in full support of the proposed skate park. We have had several meetings with the city, and we're continuing to meet with them as well. Just this morning, I had a call from Commissioner Ryan and a conversation with him. So we're committed to finding a design that works. And again, my thanks for you coming forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Krista?
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I very much appreciate it. My name is Krista Kendall. I'm the Executive Director at Bonaventure of Milwaukee. Can you hear me?
No, press the button right. Perfect.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Krista Kendall. I'm the Executive Director at Bonaventure of Milwaukee. We are a senior living community set to open in about 40 days' time, offering independent assisted and memory care services right on the corner of Rusk Road and the Milwaukee Expressway. We are also right next door to the Milwaukee Community Center, in which I'm on the board of directors for the Milwaukee Community Center Foundation. Yesterday, I spent the day, well, before I say that, I'll say I was here in December at your meeting and requested that TriMet re-implement Route 152 in support of the increased traffic and need for senior transportation at that corner. There is no public access walkways or sidewalk system in that area of the city. Yesterday, I spent the day at the Clackamas County Courthouse participating in the board meeting for North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District 2025-2026 fiscal report, in which they proposed to the Clackamas County Commissioners budget cuts that severely affect the Milwaukee Community Center, in which it will take away their entire transportation program. This is extremely unfortunate. It has not been voted upon yet, but the threat is there. I'm here to re-ask you to consider re-implementing Route 152. Thank you.
Thank you, Krista. General Manager, any comments?
Staff will follow up with her as soon as possible.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. At this time, I would like to invite our distinguished District Attorney, Nathan Vaquez, and his team forward for a few words.
Good morning, Dr. Lewis, GM Dessou, board members. It is an honor and privilege to be here this morning to speak with you all. I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you from the community for making TriMet accessible, for being the transportation hub that keeps this community vibrant and that is working so hard to connect us all. And through that, why I'm here today is your commitment to public safety and your commitment to making sure that riders are safe. My office looks at this partnership as an ongoing part to the future of how we make this community vibrant, economically, vibrant every day, and also just safe for families. Before you, I have members of my team. Our commitment to TriMet runs extremely deep. To my left is Ms. Muriel Moda. She may take a moment and talk to you about what we see as a collaborative future, because your investment in the District Attorney's Office is part of our greater plan to bring forth a program we call the PATH program to help build and support Portland and the Portland metro area as we all strive to see our community rebound and get to that healthy place we know that we want it to be. To my right is, of course, Julian Samuels. As many of you know, Julian has been a key member of our team. But I want to take a moment because I brought forth a lot of team members, some that are very directly funded by TriMet, but also others that work in my office and support the efforts of TriMet in making our community safe and our riders safe. And so if they could take a moment and stand up, we have investigators, I have senior deputies, and this is to say our office stands with TriMet each and every day. We are, of course, in the courts, but we are also out in the field. We're on the trains, we're on the buses, because we believe that TriMet is truly the lifeblood of this community, and that we love being a part of helping make it being as safe and healthy as we can. Perhaps maybe we can hear briefly from Ms. Moda.
Good morning. Thank you again for having us. I'm Mariel Moda. I'm a Chief Deputy at the DA's office. And DA Vasquez is speaking about the PATH unit. It stands for the Portland Area Transit and Hospitality Unit. And it's currently in development, and TriMet is sort of the central collaborator in what we view as kind of a larger vision to help revitalize economically our city. We're talking already with the Timber Stadium about certain public safety issues that they have that are discouraging use of their stadium. They mentioned in a meeting recently that the Foo Fighters concert was the single biggest hotel day in Portland since, I believe, 2017. So we're looking at these pieces of the economy that drive commerce, that drive tourism, that drive business, and obviously TriMet is an enormous part of that, not just the lines between the airport and downtown, but the general kind of spiderweb of connectivity throughout our metro area. And so keeping TriMet safe, keeping it rideable, keeping it accessible is a primary priority of our office, and the PATH unit will be a further extension of that collaboration to sort of support the revitalization of our economy here in Portland, bring businesses back to the downtown corridor, make people feel safe using public transit again, and shopping and going to concerts and viewing all of the beautiful things that the city has to offer. So we look forward to continued collaboration. We're very grateful for your investment and for your partnership, and obviously we are here to support in any possible way that we can.
And I'll have Mr. Julian Samuels just take a moment to talk about that partnership and how it's growing and what we're adding. In particular, I know that he has been a driving force. I'm so excited to have such talented attorneys that work throughout my office, but particularly Mr. Samuels' efforts with TriMet. And I know that we're looking particularly to add a victim's advocate, which I believe is going to be a critical component to how we can best deliver justice and safety to our community.
Thank you, DA Vasquez. And since I've been in the position over the years that has grown, we now have Brian Hogan, also as the second DDA who's focused on transit-related cases. We have 2 investigators, and those 3 positions have helped increase case efficiency. It has helped cases be reviewed and prosecuted at a higher rate. And having these new positions, being a legal assistant and an advocate, is not only going to allow what TriMet's mission statement is to the community be present, but it's also going to allow ATU members the opportunity to have not only Brian and I, but another voice to speak with. It's going to allow riders have another voice to speak with, and it's going to continue the progression of increasing public safety in our city. And I know everyone here from the DA's office really appreciates the support that TriMet has put behind us, so thank you all.
And just to speak a little bit more specifically about that advocate position, we're very excited because we know through our work, and you all know through your work, that it's not just the victims that we name in the cases that are affected by crimes that happen on those platforms. And we know that our drivers are often critical witnesses to very violent and difficult situations. We want to make sure that we're offering kind of full support to people that are victimized by these things beyond how they're defined by our charging instrument. So we believe that that advocate is going to be a very useful resource to help navigate very traumatic, very stressful situations within the ATU and further outside of the community as well.
And I'll just simply end with saying this office, the District Attorney's Office for Multnomah County, stands with TriMet, as I know that you are working so hard to help be a part of seeing our community, which I believe we are right at that turning point, and seeing us really get to not just back to where we were, but to a new, brighter, and much bigger and better future for Multnomah County and for the metro area. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and on behalf of the board, we greatly appreciate your testimony this morning and coming forward. General Manager?
Just want to tell you, thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Okay, at this time, are there any other public testimony coming forward? None? Okay. With no other members of the public signed up to testify at this time, I will close the public forum. Thank you. And thank you to all those that were here this morning. We will now proceed with our board report section of our business meeting. I will begin with Director Graham, who will be presenting a report from the recent meeting of the committee, CAT, which is the Committee on Accessible Transportation. Director Graham.
Thank you so much, and good morning. It was a very robust CAT meeting discussion in the last meeting. We talked about a number of different updates, and Nate Smith, Director of Customer Experiences, provided an update on proposed changes to the bus catcher information displays that would make them more easily accessible and readable, to increase font sizes, have them be bilingual translated signs, and increase reflectivity. So all of this is in response to a lot of feedback and hopefully reducing complaints and increasing the legibility of those signs. They would also include QR codes that would help with GPS tracking in real time. The CAT Fixed Route Subcommittee provided an update from their last meeting, and they are seeking additional information from TriMet staff on buses and trains with a bigger need for bikes or larger bikes and storage that people are carrying onto buses. So I believe staff are already following up with answers to the committee's questions regarding that, but I wanted to make a note. And they have ongoing questions about the outer Powell safety work underway with ODOT, PBOT, and TriMet. So I believe staff is working on answers to those questions as well. The wayfinding subcommittee shared questions about the Falcon text-to-speech devices and opportunities to make them more obvious and accessible to users, and the work that they're doing at Portland State University on accessibility improvements to the Beaverton Transit Center. An 82nd Avenue Community Advisory Committee update was also provided, and focusing on business access and transit lanes, and further conversation about the Fixed Route Subcommittee as well. Adina Johnson provided, Anna Diana Johnson provided a CAT recruiting update. There were 27 applicants this year. And so there was a lot of interest and participation from the accessible transit community. And Jan Campbell was reelected to the CAT committee chair role, and Patricia Kepler was unanimously reelected to her executive committee member at large position. I want to mention again that the CAT Accessibility Luncheon is coming up on June 18th. I'm really looking forward to that. And it will replace the standard business meeting that month. Staff is also working on a 35th anniversary of the ADA celebration at the Jan Campbell Transit Mobility Center on July 25th. And finally, Charlie Clark, the Lyft service delivery manager, provided an accessible transportation program update on the expanded Instacart grocery delivery pilot, one of the first in the nation, which is pretty exciting about TriMet's innovation in that area. And the expanded pilot providing a subsidized fixed route pass for Lyft riders, as well as the upcoming IRA visual navigation pilot for sight impaired riders, and the next on-demand service pilot in South Gresham. So overall, a lot of really great work going on. Thank you.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Erin. Are there any questions and comments to Erin on the Committee on Accessible Transportation? Okay, seeing none, thank you. Okay. Now I'll ask Director Kellogg for Director Flowers, who is in transit traveling from country to country today. Unfortunately, planes were delayed, to present a report from the recent Metropolitan Policy Advisory Committee impact. Director Kellogg.
Now pinch hitting.
Yes.
So the Metropolitan Policy Advisory Committee, or MPAC, as to be referred to here, convened on April 23rd. During this meeting, Metro staff gave Committee a Future Vision scoping update, providing a work plan to update Metro's 1995 conceptual 50-year vision for the region. The Future Vision is not a regulatory or policy document, but it is a conceptual statement and visionary outlook that will create a foundation of shared regional values to guide Metro's programs, plans, and policies into the future. The Future Vision will touch on a wide range of topics from land use, transportation and our economy, to housing, climate, nature, arts, and culture. In recent months, staff worked with Metro Council to define desired outcomes of the project and key goals. The Future Vision will be shaped by the Future Vision Commission, a group of people from across the region that represent a variety of backgrounds, perspectives, jobs, and life experiences. Metro staff are currently reviewing applications for this commission. Also at Impact last month, the committee received an update on the Tualatin Valley Highway locally preferred alternative, which consequently is on our agenda today. The LPA brings together several years of project planning and engagement to identify the mode, alignment, and general station locations, as well as project benefits and a funding strategy. Later in the year, Impact will consider this alignment for endorsement to Metro Council and subsequently for incorporation into the Regional Transportation Plan. Finally, Metro staff asked for feedback on the Community Connector Transit Studies policy framework, proposed opportunity area, and planned engagement approach. TriMet continues to be concerned that this plan is setting up public expectations that the region will be unable to deliver. Funding for new transit service in the region is very limited and is likely to continue to be limited for the foreseeable future. TriMet staff and leadership suggests that TriMet staff and leadership suggest that any further outreach efforts be very clear this is a strategic planning effort only, and there is no known timeline for implementation of any ideas out of the planning effort. Impact will convene again tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Are there any questions or comments about the Metro Policy Advisory Committee report?
I have a comment, but I thought I'd ask Robert a really hard question about exactly what happened in the meeting.
Wonderful.
Sorry. No, I will. I understand the concern about people misunderstanding what an outreach effort around potential and possible transit is, but I also think particularly at this moment, sorry, I'm looking both places, at this moment when we are down in Salem talking about what we would like to be able to deliver, it is really important to be able to understand the vision and the appetite that the public wants and the ways they want to be able to get around our region. And I think we should be able to embrace, here is where we want to go. We don't know that we can get there, but here's how we're going to try. And so I would encourage us, rather than being scared of being labeled as failing to live up to it, I would like us to be caught trying. And I would just encourage us to maybe take that approach to this effort, as we have in our own previous efforts, and there's no reason that we can't partner with our regional friends to have that approach and that effort moving forward.
Thank you, Director Frisbee. Any other comments? Nope. Okay, hearing none, thank you. Now I'll ask Director Way to provide a report this morning on Finance and Audit Committee. Director Way.
Yes, good morning, board and members of the audience. We were meeting at our Finance and Audit Committee bright and early today, and there were 3 agenda items that we focused on. So the first being, of course, our budget. Our finance department provided a walkthrough of the changes in our resources and requirements between the proposed budget to the budget that they will ask us to approve today via resolution. All board members will hear the same exact presentation made to us in the committee this morning, later today. Secondly, we also talked about the strategic financial plan policy. So Finance provided a walkthrough of the changes to the strategic financial plan policy. Staff have been working with Directors Kellogg and Kim, incorporating some feedback and edits. And as board members, we will receive the final draft along with notes by the end of this week. Any questions or suggested edits should be directed to the finance team by mid-June. And board input is welcome as well as feedback. The board will vote on the SFP policy at the next June board meeting. And lastly, we received an update on an internal audit update. So these are projects that have been completed by TriMet's internal auditor. And this was a follow-up to their last presentation that they gave to the committee in September. This was really an opportunity for our internal audit to highlight some key areas or takeaways from these projects and to answer any questions the board members had. And finally, the internal audit provided a quick overview or listing of the projects that are substantially complete or in process. So as the Finance and Audit Committee, I was personally pleased to hear more updates that are happening in terms of our internal audit reports. And last but not least, I just want to also say that Director Kim and I were a part of a panel that was hosted by one of our employee resource groups a couple of weeks ago. We have wonderful employee resource groups that really honor all of the different backgrounds and diversity of experiences that are here in our agency. And I see several of them sitting in the audience, so I just wanted to give a shout out to all of the folks that participated in that ERG, as well as General Manager Dessou. And yeah, I really believe our employees are the heartbeat of this organization. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to my report.
Thank you, Kathy. Are there any questions and comments about the report from the Finance and Audit Committee meeting? Questions? Okay, thank you. Seeing none. We'll move on to, I have a couple of announcements this morning for the board. First, I want to remind the board of our site inspection of the Interstate Bridge Replacement, the IBR. I think everyone received an email from our general manager on that. It's coming up June 17th, which is a Tuesday, and it's from 9 to noon. On that date, we will be meeting here at One Main Place at 9, and then traveling with the TriMet staff and subject matter experts to visit the existing interstate bridge and view the various planned locations for key infrastructure for the IBR. Please mark your calendars for what promises to be an interesting and highly informative board site. General Manager highly encourages us to be present. Second, I'd like to remind the board that next month we will be electing board officers, specifically board president, vice president, and a secretary treasurer. The officers' elections are being held per ORS 267.1201 and will be for a 2-year term beginning July 1st, 2025. Next month, we will also be confirming our board committee assignments. So I have been in the process, of each of you know, I've been talking to quite a few of you about our board committees, and some of the feedback, especially from the last retreat, is what are our committees, what do they do, where are they, how do we get information? So for each of you, that the general manager and I will look at committee assignments, so please let us know your preference. But I'd like to give a good kudos and shout out to Felicia, extraordinaire, who has helped myself bring the board portal. So we can't today, I was going to ask her to show, but now you can go to the board portal and see Committees 2025 and see a list of all of our board committees. In that folder, you will see the charter for each committee, past minutes, et cetera, including the Finance and Audit Committee. Some of you had asked how do I see minutes, what do you do in that? And so there is one committee that I felt that was very important to, so that you will have historical, because I was meeting with Executive Director Andrew, and that is the reimagining public safety, and bringing forward some of those old documents and information, which is really good, vital as we go forward. So you can now click on the portal, see the committees, click on the committees, and be ready to share with the general manager and I your first and second preference. Okay. Next, included in your board packet were 2 discussion draft resolutions that the board will be considering and discussing this morning. These discussion drafts are provided to you as a follow-up from the presentation that we received during our board retreat with Jeff Rogers, the TriMet's Director on Procurement and Supply Chain Management. He has a long title there. Jeff also provided us with a memo regarding options for increasing the general manager's level for contracting authority. The memo and the 2 discussion drafts show how or what the increasing general manager's level for contracting authority would reduce board time and efforts in reviewing TriMet contracts, also while increasing the speed in which internal decisions at TriMet can be made. I'd like to take a few minutes to have a discussion about the memo and Jeff's recommendation, and then also ask Jeff Rogers to join us up here at the speaker's table. Thank you. So are there any board comments and questions? I know everyone has had a chance to look at the draft. We had a good discussion during the retreat on that, and yes, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Robert.
Thank you, Jeff. I remember back from our last meeting discussing this. I've looked at the options. I know we're not voting today, but I just want to express my preference for making it 2 million. I think 5 million is too big of a jump from 1. That's just my personal opinion. Again, you know, some of the comments I expressed last meeting about how that's a lot of money, and really that's one of our primary responsibilities. So I'd feel more comfortable. One other item I wanted to make sure was that on the delegated authority report that we get in every board packet, all of those contracts up to 2 million are all going to be listed, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I also went back and looked a little bit at the last meeting. I'd asked a question, and you provided some clarification, but I was hoping I could get line and verse on how that incremental process works. A contract starts out at $500,000, jumps to $1.5 million, and then all of a sudden it goes over 2 million. We'll catch it once it reaches in the aggregate above 2 million, correct?
That is correct. We bring contracts to you once they exceed the general manager's threshold.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Any other, okay, Director Frisbee.
Jeff, thank you so much for the memo and laying out the options. I had 2 questions. I'm not sure if they're questions or comments, so we'll see where it ends up. But I think one of the pieces that we talked about that I saw reflected in this is highlighting, particularly in this somewhat chaotic moment when it comes to procurement and contract development and inflation, how this enables projects to move forward more, how any of these options would, to varying scale, enable projects to move forward more quickly. This might be one of those data points that is a ton of work to find, so you can ignore that in that case. But I don't know if we had an understanding of here's how delay, here's a couple of projects lately where we have actually seen this delay really matter, that would sort of help us think about, are we, by the difference between option 1 and option 2, between 2 and 5 million, does one of those result in potentially a significant enough savings by enabling projects to move forward more quickly, that we should consider that as part of the fiduciary impact? I have like a super stick your finger up in the wind and guess idea, but I don't know if you have something more data-driven or valid than me guessing.
Thank you. Good question. I don't think I have a better answer than you guessing necessarily. This has been on our minds a lot since the conversation in our last work session came up, and I think I would say this on reflection. I don't really think that the board approval of contracts necessarily slows down projects. That doesn't seem to be the right concept. But even just in the last month, we have made a number of decisions about solicitations that we were putting on the street or that were going to be on the street. And one of the key things in our mind is that you don't meet in August. So we do make many conscious adjustments to the public solicitation for contracts based on your ability to approve them. I don't know that I would further say that slows down projects, but we make a lot of decisions. In fact, with a recent solicitation, there was a consideration to extend because we thought it might get more proposals. We chose not to extend and to limit ourselves to the number of proposals potentially that would fit in the timeline we had set for that solicitation opening. And we made that decision because we know that contract needs to come to you in July, and we don't want to wait until September.
Right.
So I think the nuance here is that I don't know that your process is slowing down projects necessarily, but we do make decisions about solicitations so that those projects don't slow down based on your ability to approve contracts.
Okay, yeah. Okay, any other comments, questions, feedback? Jeff, did you have any other items to add to our knowledge of that conversation?
No, I don't think so, Dr. Lewis. I gave you the memo. I mean what I said, and I think this is entirely your decision to make. We can accommodate whatever thresholds the board feels comfortable with in whatever format. We have put forward, I think, in keeping with the feedback we've gotten from you, to hold sole sources aside over $250,000 and allow the board or require the board to approve those if they're over $250,000. That seems to be something the board is embracing. We think that that's direction that's come from you, so that is included in the recommendation, irrespective of where you set the threshold.
Other than Director Kellogg, who gave his thoughts on the 2 million or 5 million, any other? We do have to give a direction today to staff to create a resolution for our next board meeting. Go ahead.
So the other piece that I was going to do on my own is I just wanted to know where we line up. I know our friends in Multnomah County and Metro don't review this. That's not a place that I'm comfortable with. I was trying to figure out, looking at other transit agencies, sort of how we align. To your earlier point during our discussion in April, there's a lot of difference. I do really appreciate that we are treating personal services contracts the same as all of our other contracts in all of these proposals. I think that's really comforting. I never want to fall anywhere apart from my colleague from the southwest part of our region, but I'm intrigued by option 2 with a 5 million threshold, and just thinking about how that enables the board to look more comprehensively at efforts instead of contracts, instead of through a contract lens. But I think I need to sit with it for. I don't know that I would be ready to make a full decision today.
Okay.
I'd be interested in the feedback from my colleagues.
Okay.
Dr. Lewis, can I make just one little
Yes,
comment? My recommendation
certainly.
to you gave you options at 2 million and at 5 million.
Yes.
There's no magic about either of those numbers. You could pick any number between that range.
could say 3.
Also.
We
You
could
could say 3, you could say 2.5. We can accommodate it.
Certainly. Okay. And we also have 2 of our directors that are not present today, and so we are missing some feedback. Erin?
Hi, thank you. One of the things that I've been thinking about a little bit is maybe a little bit less about the dollar and more about the process of selection and the importance of that. Because we know that part of TriMet's goals in awarding these contracts is also building capacity in the areas in which we need to procure services. And I have been really impressed by TriMet's focus on that and willingness to partner with different groups and providers to build that capacity over time. So For me, I feel really confident in Sam and you and the current leadership team's focus on that. And I just wonder for the future, if that's something that we should, as a board, should continue to pay attention to. And therefore, is a $2 million threshold maybe the right threshold, so we can be paying attention to that as well. And that's, I guess, a little bit less about the dollar, but more about the process and really wanting to support the work that you're doing in capacity building.
Okay. Other comments? Yes, Director Kellogg.
I'd like to know Sam's preference and why. I think that'll help guide some folks' decision making.
I don't.
Don't be
If you
shy.
notice, I looked at the attorney and say, should I have a conversation here at the table? First, I don't see a problem as well. So let me start there. I do think that we should be at the $2 million mark. So if there is things, there's also, to Jeff's point, the board doesn't meet in November as well. So it's both August and November to where we're not meeting. So I would think the $2 million threshold is the right, proper way to go forward.
And just to add, I'm not sure if we can or cannot, I will kind of look over at council. We can also adjust it again. I mean, we're not set, there is no set time.
Absolutely. You would just come back and do it again through formal board action, but yes.
Okay.
And since he wanted an opinion, I would say, for all the reasons we've discussed, starting at 2, see how that goes. Come back in a year, look at it again, see whether it made some differences. Yeah. It's been in the same place now for 3 years, so.
I can't remember if it was Jeff's memo or the resolution that listed out the times it's been raised, and there was basically 5 years in a row where they raised it every year. So.
Trying to find a sweet spot there. Okay. Any other thoughts, comments? Are we wanting Jeff to bring any additional information to us? Do we need anything else at this time? Okay. Yes?
I would just say I'm hearing rough consensus or interest in option 1 if we
Okay.
need to draft a resolution.
Okay, I'll
As
get
I'm
there.
looking.
Okay.
Just trying to reflect that.
Any other pieces? So are we ready to advise staff? I think. Great. Shall we direct the general manager and general counsel to bring forward a resolution at the June meeting that increases the general manager's level to general census of 2 million? I see nods. See a nod?
With the sole source over 250.
Yes. Okay. Done. Did they use the gavel? Okay, done. Whew. All right. Thank you for a good discussion, direction, and thank you, Jeff, for bringing and creating those resolutions. And I think the resolutions, the samples that we had for discussion were from council. Thank you very much on that. We'll now turn to the general manager for his monthly report. Okay.
Morning, President Lewis, board members, the community partners. It's great having a DA to actually be here with us as well. The public. Also, I want to call out our ATU president and vice president is in the back of the room as well. Thank you all for being here today. In my report this morning, we will preview our next service update, which includes a ribbon cutting on a brand new bus line. I will provide ridership data from April, also receive our monthly operations analysis report out, as well as our monthly safety and security updates. And I will tell you about an award that recognized some hard work that happens behind the scenes at TriMet to keep the agency on strong financial footing. So first, let's look forward to really heading out tomorrow morning to relay resources to cut the ribbon on our newest bus line, the line 86. It's 148th Avenue, officially launches with our quarterly service update, which takes effect this Sunday. The new line is a new north-south connector for East Portland, where buses will travel between Lentz and Southeast Portland and the Columbia Corridor and Northeast Portland. And one of the stops is at Relay Resources. Relay is a nonprofit that provides jobs and services to people with disabilities. It currently employs nearly 900 people, and many of them ride TriMet. Now, as we bring this new line to East Portland, we are also increasing service on the existing Line 87, which includes East Portland and Gresham. With the service update, Line 87 will move off the Relay campus to serve Park Rose Transit Center, where riders can make a quick connection to our MAX Red Line and additional transit services. Line 87 will become TriMet's 19th frequent service line, with buses arriving every 15 minutes or better for most of the day, every day. Additionally, we will be increasing service on Line 47 with services to Intel, making some adjustments to keep those buses on time. We're excited to roll out our latest service update. Riders can benefit from those new options to connect with opportunities throughout our region. And this is great news for our region as we move forward. So now transitioning to look at our April ridership, TriMet provided 5.7 million rides last month, 5.7 million rides. That's a system-wide 4.8% increase over April of 2024. Bus ridership was strong in April. It was up 7.4% over last year. So I want to repeat that. Bus ridership was up 7.4% over last April. Our data shows that MAX ridership was essentially flat, but want to bring to your attention, we did have a disruption on the east side that we were doing state of good repair work on the MAX Blue Line at the end of April and also into May that reduced ridership. West saw a 6.2% increase in ridership, despite remaining at reduced frequencies since April of 2020. So very excited about the numbers and the ridership that's taken place. With that, I would like to invite our Director of Transit System Support Services, Les Spittler. He's going to give us a monthly operations analysis overview, and Les is he's going to take a deeper look into our March operations performance. So Les, over to you.
Thank you, General Manager Dessou. Good morning, President Lewis and members of the board. I'm here to present the monthly operations analysis for March 2025. Let's start with ridership for March. Similar to April, all four of our modes experienced an increase in ridership over March 2024, with ATP leading the way with over a 10% increase. While this is really great news, March 2024 did have some impacts to MAX service as a result of the Better Red construction project. On our bus KPI page, a few things to note. Boarding rides per revenue hour is approximately the same as last year. This indicates that our ridership is keeping pace with our service improvements. On-time performance is above target and about the same as March 2024. Mean distance between failure dropped slightly from February, but is still higher than last year at this time. The main cause is engine-related issues from some of our older buses that operate out of our Merlot garage. Bus maintenance leadership has started an engine overhaul program, looking at some of those older buses and overhauling those engines. And so as that program is underway and continues to make progress, we expect those engine-related issues to decrease. In addition to that, improvements to our bus maintenance training program are also underway. Moving on to MAX, on-time performance increased over February and improved over March 2024, and mean distance between failure also improved over February and is above target. Those are really great to see. Moving on to our accessible transportation program page. Presently, the ATP program is focused on improving their productivity in terms of rides per revenue hour. This can have an adverse impact on on-time performance. For March, rides per revenue hour improved from the prior year, and on-time performance is about the same. Although it is not as high as February, on-time performance remains above target. Preventable collisions are also above the threshold. Our contracted service provider, Transdev, started a new safety program in January that has stricter interpretations for preventable collisions. This has increased the number of reportable events, and the ATP team and TransDev are discussing potential revisions to the strict interpretation while staying committed to safety. The safety training program that TransDev also applies to operators has undergone a similar update to provide more comprehensive behind-the-wheel training. Complaints also spiked. The noteworthy context here is that at the beginning of the year, there were a lot of new hires for the ATP customer service team, and training is still supporting the team to be able to capture and report complaints and concerns accurately, and we expect as those new folks continue to get training and get on the same page that the complaint figures will regulate over the next few months and anticipate they will return to acceptable levels. For Wes is always doing great, so that's really good to see. Nothing really to highlight there. And then on this last page, as you know, this is your one-stop shop for all of the KPIs. It's on a rolling 12-month basis, so April 24 through March 25. Thank you for your time this morning. That concludes my overview.
Les, thank you. Just stay around if there's questions at the end of my presentation, please. So as ridership continues to increase, reports of unwanted behavior on our buses and trains is going down. So now let's turn to our TriMet Executive Director of Safety and Security, Andrew Wilson, for an update on our safety and security efforts. So Andrew, take it away.
Well, good morning, Board President Lewis and TriMet Board of Directors. Great to be here with you today. I have some updates to share with you today, and I think they are positive. I appreciate Sam's acknowledgement. I think a lot of the efforts that we're doing are seeing some good ridership gains from them. So anyway, that's very thrilling for us and the team, and we thank our general manager for his support. So if we go to the next slide, please. I wanted to bring this up to you. A couple months ago, I discussed wanting to discuss fare enforcement check activity versus actual citations. So I'm giving that to you this morning. The context is there will be a point, hopefully, where we start to see some declines in the actual citations that are given because less people are actually on the system not paying fare, right? But we want to make sure that we're still doing the same level of activity. And so you can kind of see this is the update from July 24th through April 25th. Some good numbers. This is a relatively small team to the task. We have 47 of these folks, but they work very, very hard out there. And I think they're producing some good results that are felt in the community. Next slide, please. So this is the actual fare and code enforcement numbers. You can see we're a little bit down from March on both citations and warnings. But overall, you can see that activity really kicked up in that September timeframe, October, when we did that real launch for fare and code enforcement. I was just chatting with Executive Director Vitko over operations about an article I just read. King County is actually just now getting into fare and code enforcement. I think I saw an article that you sent along, Director Kellogg, on that too. But they did education for 2 months, and then they started with fare and code enforcement. They're just now starting that. So I think we're in good company here to really push forward to try to increase the safety and reliability on our system through fare and code enforcement. So this is up. I do hope that at some point I can attribute these downs to things like more people paying fare on the system. So that's what we want to get to. So next slide, please. Again, we've got these on here for bus and rail just to show the journey that we've been on since really in 21, where you saw this smoke and fumes really start to take a huge spike. This is a continual celebratory story, but I'd like to get this to 0. So we're going to keep working on this number, but things like Senate Bill 1553, HB 4002, those bills from the legislature have been very helpful in helping us keep this number down and hopefully eradicate it altogether. So this is bus, and if we go to the next slide, you can look at rail. Again, these reports have been coming down consistently. So we'll go to the next slide. This is overall safety response team total activities. We have as many folks on this contract as we've ever had at this time, and you're seeing that bore out in the total amount of activities out on the system from our safety response team. I just actually had the opportunity to visit Minneapolis last week. They have a very similar program to this, and it's kind of taking off, and they wanted advice from us because this is a very successful program, and I think it's best in class right now. If we go to the next slide, these are the top 5 response pieces that are out there, and this is just for your benefit to understand what the teams are really focused on. And on the next slide, I'm going to kind of give you some updates just for you and your areas that you report back to. But this is a real great accomplishment for TriMet. You know, Sam has been helping empower us for years now on really kind of leaning into innovation in terms of how we approach safety and security here at TriMet. And yesterday at 10 o'clock, I got an email from Andrew McLennan, the IT department. I'll say IT has been really leading the way on this for us. This is a big organizational effort. This elevator access control pilot, which we grew out of Hollywood, has now been installed fully on 42nd, 60th, and 82nd. And so this is active out there. I was actually out there with a K2 reporter covering this, and there's some internal communications that you guys will see about this too. But this is really an excellent accomplishment for us, and we're installing this at the other elevators that we have on our system because it was so wildly successful at Hollywood. It really just ensuring access to those elevators for the folks that we built it for. So this is really about increasing accessibility to the folks that use these elevators and need them for access. So that is a good update. One of the big things that we needed to accomplish on this was the bus paper ticket transfer issue, where if you had folks that were on a bus and they paid cash, how do they get in the elevator if they transfer onto Max? Again, IT really led the way with getting that QR code on the paper ticket transfer, so you can see that picture there. And so we're ensuring that folks that have paid cash on the bus can get back onto the Max. So that was a big accomplishment. I actually do have a sign I want to show you. I just remembered. Thanks for indulging me a little show and tell here, but this is the actual sign that Creative Services put together for us, and this is what's actually out in front of the elevators. So they did a nice job on this, and we're, again, it's more about increasing accessibility for those that use those elevators. So next slide, please. These are the elevators that are currently on our system. We're going to be moving this out over the next couple years to these areas so that we have access control. I will say the Banfield and the grade separated areas are very easy to install because we really researched that at Hollywood. So it was just kind of rinse and repeat for 60th and 82nd. So it'll be some more engineering at those different sites, but we're committed to installing this at all of our elevators. So this will be something out there over the next couple years. Next slide. One other thing I want to make you aware of, along with that access control investigation and the research and innovation that we're going into that, we're also looking at potential areas that we could install this at grade separated and other locations where it might make sense, just to even get to the paid fare area, so the platforms. Out at 82nd, we're working just to kind of explore this a little bit more this next year with an investment to explore some of the grade separated access control possibilities. And the Fairgate initiative that we're out there, we're actually looking at ways we might be able to work on this with the 82nd development and possibly bring back some FTA dollars to kind of spend towards this initiative as well. And so we're really trying to kind of think about how we build into the future with Fairgate and access control in mind, as well as SEPTED, and other kind of building of the future. So we're excited to kind of explore that possibility at 82nd and just kind of continue to innovate along those lines. And next slide, please. And lastly, I'll tell you, our blue light phones have gotten great responses. We continue to see the people utilizing our 238 ride 24-hour, security operations center call-in. We continue to see those numbers rise month over month, so people are getting more used to the idea that they can contact 238 RIDE. You can also use our blue light phones if you're out there, and this is a real perception of safety kind of increase for us to see these blue lights out there. The exciting thing is, over the next couple months, we'll have these installed all the way on the blue line out to Gresham Central Transit Center. We did this in terms of how we roll these out over the next year. We did it through a risk ranking process to try to analyze the platforms that had the most security activity on them. It's not going to surprise you that the blue line out to Gresham has a lot of that, and so we actually pushed these out there first, but they won't be at Cleveland, for example, because Cleveland is not the same risk ranking area. That'll be in kind of group 2. So, but over the next fiscal year, so hopefully by June of 26, we should have these installed at all the areas on the rail side that we own. So you're going to see this out there as well. And this is a big gain for us. It's interesting, we've kind of honed these down to about $15,000 per install, which is phenomenal. But we are a little concerned about tariff activity with that number, but either way, it's small. So. But this is a good update for you guys just to know a lot of this stuff is very visible. It's in the public, and we just want you to be aware of it. So, and I think that's the last slide.
President Lewis, can I recommend that both Les Spittler come back up and have the questions answered before my last comment?
Okay, because I do have a question as well. Questions from board members? Yes. Director Kellogg?
Thank you. I have 2, one for each of you. So Les, I'm going to start with you first. Great improvement on the ridership numbers, but the one thing that caught my attention, system cost per boarding increased by 12%. And is that, I mean, I know there are a lot of things that drive that, but are we looking at one mode over the other, seeing a greater increase? What's driving that?
So I believe system cost is every cost in TriMet's budget divided by the number of boarding rides. So at certain points in the year, health insurance premiums hit divisional budgets. I know transportation, who has the most employees at the agency, had a insurance premium hit recently. And so as those costs go up, dividing them by the number of boarding rides will result in an increase. That's the only thing I can think of now, but that is definitely something that happened recently.
So if ridership were to increase more, would that decrease the cost per rider given the volume?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that will remain our goal.
Yes.
And Andrew, thanks for your presentation as well. I wanted to ask on the elevator access, we've got $1.65 million budgeted for fiscal year 26. And I know each project is different, but roughly what does that equate to? 1, 2, 3?
It's hard to say because the engineering at each location is different, and we run into a lot of different hurdles. We're hopeful that we can get another 5 or 10 sort of in the production over the next couple of years. I don't know if that number will be that exact number. When you think about how much we spent on the ones that we have currently, it was a pretty cheap install because of the way that is configured. We're going to run into more problems when we get out into the garages. But we are focusing on Sunset, on Bybee, some other areas that are kind of the easier opportunities first. So I think we'll try to get as much momentum as we can with that 1.6. I can't give you an exact figure, but we're starting with some of the easier versions first. So if that makes sense, or less expensive versions first.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah.
Director Frisbee?
Thank you. I have 2.5 questions. Andrew, since we're on elevators, I'm really excited to see this. I've heard some good feedback from folks on the ground out there riding the system about the 82nd, which I know just went in, but there's excitement. And so really looking forward to that being more accessible for the folks who need to take it. I will put in a tiny plug, which I know this is a tricky issue. So this is an innovation balloon thought. The elevators over the Max and train lines for Clinton. Yep, I hear from folks a lot and have personally been stuck on the other side of the Max train from where I would like to be with a large freight car, a freight line in front of me with the elevators out at the Bob Stacy Bridge. I know that PBOT owns that bridge and manages those elevators, and they are not just for the Max line access, but to the extent that we have the ability to engage with them or support in that, I'd love to see some creative problem solving. I know that's not an immediate, that's a long term, just gonna put it out there. I have also seen high schoolers cross in between the freight cars, which is terrifying, to try to reach the max line. I'll just, but thank you, it's a great update. I also had a little bit of a note. I looked back the key reasons for stopping folks from the safety response team. I just went back last month. I didn't do a big deep dive. It looks like those are staying basically the same. Is that your gut feeling?
It is, yeah. The need is still out there for this team. We know that. If you
Yeah.
walk through some of the neighborhoods, you'll see this activity, but it's roughly the same. It hasn't changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Les, I love getting this report every month, so thank you. Let me just start with that. Not to be the person who looks at a report full of generally good news and finds the two things that make you go, what's going on here? But I'm gonna do that. So the year-to-date summary, I think it's the second page of your memo. The year-to-date summary, I'm thrilled to see the max numbers up so much, both month to month, but also year-to-date. And I will just say, as someone who's taking max now more than I used to, it feels great. And I'm impressed every time I get on at weird times, because I usually just use it to move around downtown. It's busy. But I'm surprised that the bus ridership number year-to-date summary is down. And is that, I know we had a rough March. Is that mostly just due to that rough March, or is there something else going on?
I think it's due to March. It's also due to last year. I keep referring to the Better Red construction project, but when we had MAX shutdowns, we replaced MAX service with bus shuttles, and so bus shuttles were inflated because of that. And so I think when you look at, there was no shutdowns. Well, there was one at the end of April, but not necessarily in March. I think that's why. I think March 24 was inflated because bus shuttles were replacing MAX service.
That really helps. Thank you.
Any other questions? I did have one for Andrew. Don't forget to include board pass, our hops in the elevators. I like going to check.
You will have access, Dr. Lewis. I
They will work,
guarantee it.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I need, but I like playing around and checking things out when I'm roaming around. But especially the parking garage out at Gresham, because I don't think it worked.
Yeah. Oh, is that, okay.
Yeah.
We'll look into that.
Yeah, okay. Anything else? Seeing none? Okay, back to General Manager.
Thank you both.
And thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your presentations there. So Board, finally this morning, I would like to share some news about our financial services team. They recently received a certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting. It is the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and financial reporting. So I'd like to have Chief Financial Officer Nancy Young Oliver come up along with Kara Fitzpatrick, our Director of Financial Services. Just to let you guys know that Kara wasn't expecting this, but this honor goes to her and her team. I'm so proud of you all both and the team as well in all of this accomplishment. So Nancy, please share with the board the details of the honor.
Great, thank you very much. So really happy to be here today and talk to you about this. The GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, established the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting Program in 1945. And that was to encourage and assist state and local governments to go beyond the minimum requirements of generally accepted accounting principles to prepare an annual comprehensive financial report that evidences the spirit of transparency and accountability and full disclosure. And then they wanted to recognize those individuals that succeeded in achieving that goal. The goal of the program is not to assess the financial stability of the organization, but rather to ensure that users of the financial statements receive the information that they need. The completion of the requirements is addressed in a document that is more than 40 pages long. So they have to go through that entire list of requirements and meet every single one of those requirements. Our financial statements are reviewed by 3 individual parties that are separate. They don't get to collaborate on it. They each have to indicate a pass on each one of those elements covered in that 40-plus page document. This has been a multi-year endeavor from the financial services team, and upon their first submission, they are receiving the award. I am super proud of this team for all the work that they put into it, and really proud that TriMet is moving to a higher level of transparency and accountability. And I would also like to recognize and have Eric Ryder and Kingston Sprague also stand up and be recognized as well.
So Nancy and Kara, yeah. Please wait just a moment here. First, again, congratulations to you both and to this entire team. What a huge accomplishment that's there, and really applaud you. So President Lewis and board, as I conclude my report this morning, I would like to ask that we pause for a moment to take a photo with Nancy and also Kara. And also I'd like to ask Kingston and Eric for you guys to come forward and join the team. So thank you.
After the photo, we'll take a 10-minute break.
Looking at me? Are y'all looking at me, nobody else?
I was like, this is good time. Yeah, I will confess that I was being too late to call you, although knowing you, I probably could have. You were, yeah, but I was like, I am excited to hear Robert.
Favor.
That was the flow of the,
Is that like what's happening? Well, and it's, so what's our other favorite? Right, like, that is true. There's a lot of and not a lot of fun.
exactly right. It's whatever the next flavor of the day is, right? Let's go tear up somebody else.
So I'll just have to duck out by noon. Okay, yeah. But, yeah.
Seem like the right way to do this by any means. That's positive. You're like, what? I think that is that's a feature, not a bug. Is it down in San Francisco? Yeah, well, that's, I'm last week, the co-chairs released a new framework, which basically says like, so I guess how would that work? Like, one of the ways that it's gonna start. Oh, I can make sure. Okay. I think I'd love it if everybody speaks a lot, but just stay, you know, like, and he's been the one of the.
So lots of movements going on with the street car.
Oh, yeah?
City administrator, back and forth, laid out what we can say. They're still pushing
So great.
streetcar ridiculous. It's precious that, Sam, you were not here when we structured everything. It's made for a public-private partnership. And, you know, you're getting away and interfering. Dick, I'm really sorry.
Okay.
I think that TriMet
Yeah, because I didn't realize.
have been operating this for a long time. And we're going to move forward. I understand your position.
And you don't have to worry about it.
So I told him, right?
Yeah.
He didn't say anything, he just said, well, you and I should talk.
Yeah.
Just have a conversation.
I saw him last night. He didn't say anything.
Right?
Whenever you're ready to see.
Yeah. It makes a lot of, you're not, my husband was not, it's not gonna be the same as it was.
I don't think that's hard. It doesn't feel like
And I think we're all in a position like
I guess I'm sure I wonder if you have viable.
fine revenue. Both
They actually make that entire.
take care of the stuff.
So I'm like, what's the fourth option?
Frankly, like we talked about before, I think this is the lack of
And I know I got. Oh, they're looking back here. They're looking back here.
That might just be like always brought up.
Everyone, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you.
Quiet coyote. No?
It's on. We will go ahead and get started. I'll use my jail voice.
Ooh, yikes.
Thank you. All right, let us turn today to the consent agenda. Items appearing on the consent agenda are considered routine and may be approved by the board in one blanket motion. This morning, the consent agenda consists only of approving the minutes from our last meeting of April 23rd, 2025. I know need another battery probably. Does it, this morning, for the minutes. Does any director have any wished items to, well, there's nothing to remove. I can skip that. Oh, gosh. There's nothing to remove. Thank you. Sorry. Is there a motion to approve the April 23rd meeting minutes?
Motion to approve consent agenda as read.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Does anyone wish to comment before we vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. We will move now to the resolutions on the regular agenda. First, we will consider Resolution 250524, adopting the fiscal year's 2026 budget and appropriating funds. General Manager, do you have any comments on the resolution?
Thanks, President Lewis, members of the board. TriMet's fiscal year 2026 budget includes all the costs of providing the bus, rail, paratransit service, and other contributions TriMet provides to our community. Oregon local budget law requires the board to adopt a balanced budget before the start of TriMet's new fiscal year. That's July 1st, a little more than 4 weeks away. This morning, we asked for the board's approval of the budget, which includes revisions from the proposed budget approved in March. As I've mentioned, we have an operating budget deficit in FY26 of approximately $70 million. And there's a potential for those deficits to continue year after year as we face a physical cliff in FY 2031. As we have moved through the budget process these past few months, most of our divisions reduced their budget discretionary spending by 2 to 3%. Cuts such as these are never easy, and this point have not included layoffs, but we must take steps now to ensure a fiscally sustainable future for TriMet. Our funding crisis cannot be solved by cuts alone. We continue to seek additional revenue both through the upcoming statewide transportation package and by looking for new revenue streams. But we will continue to tighten our spending and look for additional efficiencies. The cuts that are now incorporated into the budget before you have reduced our operating deficit by $7.1 million for the coming fiscal year, which equates to $71 million in cost savings over 10 years. CFO Nancy Young-Oliver and Director of Budgets and Forecasting Michael Doan are here to break down the numbers and highlight some of the changes. So Nancy, over to you.
Great. Good morning again. So as Sam said, we brought to you in March the proposed budget, which you approved, and we went through the TSCC hearing. And now we're to that spot where we need to have actually an adopted budget come July 1 so we can continue operating. What we're bringing before you today is a list of changes or the reconciliation from the proposed approved budget all the way to the adopted budget, just highlighting those things that have changed. So high level, we've updated the estimated 2025 actuals. We have 3 more months of real data and just a few months of estimated data. We have reevaluated our revenues and all of our spending, as well as our capital program, with all of that to bring to you the adopted budget version, which we're asking you to vote on today. So with that, I've brought Michael with us, and he's going to walk you through some of those changes on both the revenues and expenditure side.
Thanks, Nancy. So we'll just dive right in. So the first thing we look at, as Nancy just said, is what we're going to end up with in 2025. So revised estimates, we got updates. Bottom line, revenues changed just a little bit. That's mostly in passenger fares that we reduced it down in. Requirements also went down, which is actually a positive impact on fund balance. Most of the changes, though, on the requirements has to do with our capital program. It reduced almost 20 million of that 26 million that you're seeing there. Mostly cash flow timing for the most part. There's also some movements of some delays in grants of not knowing the full results of those just yet. So those are getting pushed into the next year or further out. All said and done, though, it's a positive impact on fund balance of about 25.2 million. That flows and gets you started for 2026. We're going to go through all these other details, so we can just go to the next slide and we'll get back to the fund balance part. As far as the resources, first thing is you do see those results from 2025, extra 25 million that we'll start with. We revised our operating revenues. This is, again, passenger revenues that we reduced down. If you recall when we presented the proposed budget, there are some questions about, hey, are we being a little aggressive on the passenger fares and whatnot. We look at that along with all the other revenues too. We did do some significant reductions here, but that $6.5 million reduction there in operating revenue is a result of lower estimated passenger fares. When it comes to the non-operating resources, this is really interest earnings that are coming in a little bit higher than expected, so we boosted up the revenue here. The thing to keep in mind with that, those revenues are typically restricted because they're earned basically on the bond proceeds that we have and or the STIF revenues, which have a very specific purpose. With that, though, on the STIF side, we do use it on service, so it can still kind of help us out bottom line overall. A little bit of an update on the payroll tax revenue. We have an updated forecast that we get multiple times throughout the year from Eco Northwest. They kind of revised up their estimates just a little bit, so we're almost 5 million better on that. The little drawback with that is they are indicating a possible recession too with their data. So there's a little bit of a concern about that, how it'll be in the future, not necessarily impacting their estimates yet, but we'll see how that transpires over the coming months. Regarding the federal, state, and local grants, just the $1 million change here, this is really only just timing, cash flow, again, with the federal funding and different grants that are coming in and out. And the capital grant, this reduction here, this is on the resource side. We're not talking about the expenditure. I'll get into that in just a minute. But here, this $20 million change, almost 3/4 of it has to do with the grants that we have associated with the Columbia bus base and the timing exactly what we're doing with that project. So some of this is we're pushing some stuff out to reevaluate some of the design and take advantage of, I believe it's the RAISE grant that we have with that project, as well as a smaller one that we do have guaranteed, the earmark for $5 million. That is going to be spent, but that RAISE grant stuff or funding has been pushed out just a little bit. And then there was some minor changes on the other resources of just 100,000. Just pause real quick to see if there's any questions on the resource side.
Director Frisbee?
Thank you. Thank you so much for walking us through this. You're so much, I really appreciate the commentary around the slideshow. It helps me wade through it. The RAISE grant, which of course is where I end up zeroing in, is that because we have delays on signing the FFGA, or is it a delay on our part, or is it who's delaying?
No, we're waiting for execution.
Okay.
Complete execution on that, so.
And that's still caught up in the set of grants that are still caught up.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next slide. Let's move on to the requirements side of the house. So personal services. The increase here is mostly attributable to service increases. We've got about just under a 2% service increase that we're doing on the bus side of the house in the next fiscal year. About 7 out of that 10 million is just wrapped up with that. The other part is some differences in positions, added positions that we have throughout the year, which I'll get into a little bit more detail on what those are and what they're going towards. On the materials and services, the area that's mostly increasing there is in maintenance. There's additional building maintenance as well as parts for vehicles, both bus and light rail, in those areas. A little bit more added in the materials and services is to further enhancements in our fare subsidy programs. There's a little bit more that's dedicated to those as far as the marketing and the actual subsidy with the fare programs. The big change here with the capital improvement program is really timing with our Type 2 light rail vehicles. So we originally started with 49 vehicle replacements. Given the constraints that we have with our funding capacity as far as bond capacity goes and our general fund availability, we reduced that number down from the 49 down to 27 vehicles. That fits within our 15-year timeline. That doesn't mean that those vehicles still aren't needed at some point and still need to be replaced, but as far as the budget and the timing with the fiscal year 26 budget, we've changed it from doing basically a down payment based on 49 vehicles to a down payment based on 27, which significantly changed the overall dollars. There's also some timing of some other projects like Columbia Bus Base and some electric vehicles that we were planning to. We're just kind of repurposing some grants there to go after a need for the infrastructure requirements at the PAL facility for the fuel cell electric buses regarding the Lono grant, to bring up a different grant that's helping fund the project. So there's some shifting around that we're doing between some of the grants with our regular formula funded grants to fund some facility type needs that we have, while kind of taking that brief pause on bus replacements overall. On the pass-throughs, just some cash flow changes with those numbers, very minor, no change on debt service. The contingency change is based on the changes in materials and services and personnel costs that we have. And then all these changes from what you guys saw in proposed to what it is now is a $49 million increase to the ending fund balance. That breaks down to about 11.3 million increase in our unrestricted fund balance, and 38 million that is with the restricted fund balance. The restricted part's mostly the bond funds, whereas the 11.3 million is just an improvement to our fund balance overall with these changes, which is a good thing. We'd like to keep that holistic if we can, because we know that we have this fiscal cliff that's down the future. Any questions on the requirement side? All right. Okay. Next slide. This is not so much about the changes. Some of them are definitely changes from the approved or the proposed to the adopted, but also just kind of overall view of the adopted budget. We do have a couple reorganizations as far as how we organize the budget, how we appropriate the budget. One is with the public access and innovation. That has been restructured. That's a new division that's been restructured, stemming from the Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility Division, which no longer exists in the 2026 budget. We also reorganized the Chief Operating Office Division and reclassified that into the Transportation Division. The reason that occurred is there was a full division of just 2 FTE overall. Didn't really make sense to have its own appropriation and all the restrictions that come with that and trying to move budget, so that was moved into the Transportation Division. And that kind of concludes our reorganizations. When it comes time for the position changes, we added nearly 90 positions overall. About 60% of that, just over 40, is associated with just the service increases that we had. So operators, mechanics, service workers are all going into those numbers. Other changes that we have is we are positioning our STIF funding to go more towards service and less to other programs. But we didn't want to necessarily eliminate all those other programs with that. So we have shifted some FTE from being funded with STIF funds over to the general fund, and so they continue. That's partly showing in this increase here because they would have otherwise went away. We also have some extensions of what we call limited term positions. Those are typically positions that work in our engineering construction division that are specific to projects. We usually only approve those 5 years at a time. and give them that duration. So some come due and there's new projects that they're working on, so then we'll extend them and stuff. But it's very project by project basis, and that's how those get included. But it's also reflective in this number, and that represents about 20 to 25 positions overall. I think I covered most of it. There are a few positions in there too that are added just because of grants that we have, and they need to execute those. So there's probably a handful, 5 to 10 in that range, that are positions that are just for a specific purpose with a grant. They would have limited turn dates as well when the grant's done. Those positions are done. Whether we have new funding at the end of that for something else, that'll be determined at that time. Contracted services and agreements. This just kind of give you a list of those things that are outside contracted. The total of the items listed there is about $142 million. It's a big chunk of what our M&S budget is overall. But just to give you an idea of what some of those major items are, including the software licenses, the lease agreements that we do have, services that we do on Lyft, and the transit police and security services there. A couple just highlights in the budget. There's a couple things that are working around grants, so the workforce programs, both in the Lono grant and there's another grant that it includes. There's transit priority spot improvements and route planning restoration. That's another grant that we have that we're taking advantage of that's in the budget. The public fair has some ads for the customer satisfaction survey, the service change support and rider recovery and special events. And we added one position in our safety and security division for a director of emergency management to really help with workload and get a little bit more focused. I don't need to elaborate too much more on the capital improvement programs, but the main thing, it is down quite a bit. That has to do with the light rail vehicles. It also has to do with the timing of those bigger expansion projects that are just kind of in the design phase right now, and we're still waiting full funding on all of those. So it's kind of letting that CIP program be a little bit lower in the 26 budget. Nancy, did you want to just touch on that last bullet?
Yes. So in reference to the reductions, as Sam previously stated, we took $7.1 million in cuts, about 2 to 3% throughout the division, except for in a couple divisions. Specifically in maintenance and information technology, we did not take any cuts. We have some stated good repair needs there. We want to make sure that we are addressing them, so it did not make sense to take cuts there. In addition, in legal services and LRHR, we did not take any cuts. They have an extremely tight budget, and to take any cuts there would mean a layoff. And we are at a spot where we don't want to look at layoffs. Where we have a business need to continue with staff because they're delivering. But other than that, throughout TriMet, we took a 2 to 3% cut. That $7.1 million this year was $7.1 million in continuing expenses, which means that time value of money over the 10-year period of time, as Sam stated, that's a $71 million savings. When we did our strategy meeting with you, we really emphasized that we've got a 5-year runway right now before we really hit that fiscal cliff where we would be forced into taking cuts that we really don't want to have to take. We have to make some steps towards that each and every year, and this was a good first step for TriMet. Basically what it means is we've tightened our belt. Right, so we're reevaluating, how many people are going to go to a training, how many people would go to APTA, how many people would go to, these events. Maybe pulling back on that, doing some more training in a WebEx, remotely versus attending in person. So these are the areas that, certainly we can continue to tighten our belt on. We feel that this was a good move to make, but that is also included within the 2026 budget that we're asking you to adopt today. Sam?
So first of all, thank you for the presentation, and I'm sure that there's going to be some questions here in just a little bit, but I just want to conclude that it's important to note that while we're focused on tightening our belt, this budget really supports our continuing mission of connecting people with valued mobility, options that are safe, convenient, reliable, and accessible and welcoming for all. So it invests in what we have to maintain more of our facilities and assets in a state of good repair, and it really fulfills TriMet's commitments to our partners in pursuing safety and bus rapid transit projects along 82nd Avenue and TV Highway. It also advances our efforts focused on continual improvements of our safety and security of our riders, our employees, and the public. So, President Lewis and members of the board, I recommend your approval.
Before I ask for any discussion and comments, is there a motion to approve resolution number 250524?
Motion to approve resolution 250524.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and second. Does anyone here on the board wish to comment before we vote? Director Kellogg.
Thank you, President Lewis. And it's just a comment, not any questions. I always love this process. It's so thorough. That TSCC meeting that was up here, I thought they really grilled you well, got to the bones of it, and so we were all pretty happy at that point. And then the revisions, we all understand, I think, pretty well. So my purpose here is to thank you for doing a miraculous job, as you always do, continually monitoring this situation and keeping us in good financial condition. So thank you.
Echo. Okay. Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, and thank you. Thank you. We will now consider Resolution 250525, recommending that the Metro Council adopt the locally preferred alternative to the Tualatin Valley Highway Transit and Safety Project as part of the Regional Transportation Plan. General Manager, excuse me, do you have any comments on this resolution?
Thanks, President Lewis. Members of the board, the TV Highway Transit and Safety Project will bring better, faster, high-capacity transit services to a vital Washington County corridor connecting the communities of Beaverton and Forest Grove. The project will utilize transit signal priority and other methods to keep buses moving around traffic congestion. It will also provide safer and more accessible connections to our transit services. With large projects like this, and just as with the 82nd Avenue Transit Project, Metro requires the TriMet board and relevant partner jurisdictions to adopt the LPA, or Local Preferred Alternative Route. LPA adoption has helped demonstrate public support for the project. It is essential to advance project funding and development. This morning I have Director of Major Projects, Jamie Snook, Manager of Capital Planning, David Alwigs, and Associate Project Manager, Bernadette Lee, here to provide additional detail, including a look at the LPA and updated timeline. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, and good morning. We're here to look for your endorsement on the locally preferred alternative for the TV Highway Transit and Safety Project. I'm here with the TV Highway team. This is one of the last steps we're moving towards on the locally preferred alternative tour, so to speak. So the cities, the county, Washington County, and the cities of Forest Grove, Cornelius, Hillsborough, and Beaverton are all adopting or have adopted their locally preferred alternative. We're here today to get your endorsement, and then we'll be moving on to Metro Council and their committees for their endorsement. So I'm going to hand it over to the project team for a short presentation.
Thank you, Jamie. Next slide, please. What is happening here? I've got the wrong one. How did that get up there? Sorry, technical difficulties here on my side. What happened? Ah, there it is. All right, sorry for the delay. So we are starting the entire length of the line 57, which is about 16.2 miles long. The project is from Beaverton Transit Center to 19th and B Street in Forest Grove. Passes through the communities of Beaverton, Aloha, and other parts of unincorporated Washington County, as well as Hillsborough, Cornelius, and Forest Grove. ODOT owns the majority of the roadway, while Forest Grove owns the right-of-way just to the west of Highway 47. Next slide, please. So why address the line 57? There's a lot of reasons. We're looking into making improvements on the line 57. A lot of people ride the line 57. This is the #1 line out in Washington County. It has over 6,000 daily boardings on an average weekday and has one of the highest bounce back rates since the pandemic, with about 88% of the ridership when compared to before and after the pandemic. I mean, that tells us a little bit about this line and how people use it, which is nice to understand. Travel times are not very competitive with other modes of transportation. Taking the bus can take almost twice as long as it would be to drive the route. The rider experience has a lot of room to improve. About 54% of the existing stops along the corridor do not have shelters or weather protection. 34% do not have seating. 41% do not have lighting. The image on this slide is in the segment of the corridor adjacent to the Union Pacific Railroad line, and it conveys just how much room there is for improvement. Lastly, we're reminded too often of the safety issues along this corridor. The TV highway fatal crash rate is nearly twice the regional average. More than half of the fatal crashes in recent years, between 2017 and 21, involved pedestrians, and many of those pedestrians happen to be near transit stops. We have also heard repeatedly from past planning efforts, as well as during this project, that safety improvements are a top priority for corridor community members. Next slide, please. So here's a look at our long-term timeline for the project. The planning phase began in 2022 and concluded with the steering committee recommendation of the LPA in February of this year. We're now in the process of seeking LPA endorsement, as Jamie explained, by the 4 cities and county, TriMet, and the Metro committees. Beaverton's endorsement yesterday completed the first phase of this effort. Your endorsement of the LPA today will initiate the final phase with Metro's adoption. We expect to seek Metro Council's endorsement in June. TriMet will be the project lead during the project development phase from summer of 2025 through 2027, advancing the project design from 15 to 100%. During that time, Metro will lead the NEPA process, and we expect construction to begin in early 2028. The plan is to open with revenue service in late summer 2030. As we look forward to the future of design phase, I want to let you know that the request for proposal was sent out earlier in the spring, and the project team is currently reviewing proposals for this design contract. They just arrived last Friday. So we're hoping to bring that contract to you in July for approval. This graphic also shows the funding commitment milestones. This summer is when all PD funding needs to be committed, and those intergovernmental agreements are well underway. 30% of the local match would need to be committed by next summer in 2026, and all of the remaining non-capital investment grant funding needs to be committed by the following summer, 2027. Currently, we're in line to accomplish all those things. So, next slide, please. So what have we achieved during the planning phase? We've been working with our partners over the last few years to move this project along. We partner with ODOT, Metro, Washington County, Forest Grove, Cornelius, Hillsborough, and Beaverton, as well as a number of community organizations through an equitable development strategy to advance the project and get to where we are today. The project also convened a technical working group, a policy group, as well as a steering committee to advise the project's development. In phase 1 of our work, we advanced design to 5% and developed a project that resulted in a $550 million cost estimate. We knew this was not going to work, so explored phasing options and ultimately worked with the TV Highway Steering Committee to identify a quarter-long project with lower aspirations, but with a more feasible $300 million cost estimate that's eligible for federal funding. I've said this before, there's no small project on TV Highway, and we think this project is going to accomplish a great deal for $300,000. So throughout this project, we've had several phases of community outreach in which we focused on project awareness, engaging with the TV Highway Equity Coalition, and seeking feedback on draft station locations. Finally, in February, as I mentioned before, the steering committee voted to recommend a locally preferred alternative which identifies the preferred mode, alignment, and general station locations. Next slide. So this is what we're talking about today. The LPA is composed of these elements: the mode, alignment, route, and general station locations. Jump to the next slide. So this is the statement that was created by the project team. The mode is the Frequent Express FX Rapid Transit, and the alignment is described here in this paragraph. It generally follows the same alignment as our current line 57, following TV Highway between the Beaverton Transit Center and 19th Avenue and B Street in Forest Grove. And the general stop locations are on the next slide. So next slide, please. So these stations are approximately a third mile apart. This is the intent to find that perfect balance between speed and access. There are 41 station pairs, plus stations at Beaverton Transit Center, Hillsborough Transit Center, and the terminus in Forest Grove. There is some refinement yet to be done, particularly in the Cornelius area, and we plan to do that early in the project development phase. And I'm going to hand it off to Bernadette here. So next slide.
Hello, everyone. So in the next phase of the project, TriMet will be looking to expand community engagement. We will convene 2 public advisory committees, a community advisory committee, also known as the CAC, and the Policy and Budget Committee. The CAC will act as a sounding board for design decisions and community engagement. The Policy and Budget Committee will be a public body of jurisdictional partner, elected officials, or executive level staff, as well as a CAC delegate, to advise some of the major design elements such as physical priority locations. The plan would be to have 2 outreach staff for this project, each would be assigned to a geographic area along the corridor. During the phase, we would be looking for additional ways to connect with the community, such as open houses, tabling at events, and conversations with residents and business owners with a focus on reaching limited English proficiency community members. The TriMet team would also develop a project webpage and send out mailings at key times during the project. We look forward to continuing the great multi-jurisdictional collaboration in this next phase. At the staff level, staff from each jurisdiction will be invited to join a technical advisory committee where jurisdictional staff will continue to collaborate on the project together. This graphic at the top shows how information we learn from our committees as well as other outreach will be shared with our technical team and vice versa. This iterative process will lead to final design decisions. Here, this slide, next slide, please. Here is a little bit more information about the 2 advisory committees. The CAC will gather diverse perspectives from residents, community-based organizations, businesses, and properties. It will also be a sounding board for the design questions and outreach activities. This will be a place for 2-way communication with the project team and with shared agenda setting. The role will be to advise staff as well as the Policy and Budget Committee. At this time, we're thinking that this group would meet around 6 times a year, subject to change. We expect these meetings may be less frequent in the later phases of design. The Policy and Budget Committee will consist of 1 elected or executive from each of the partner jurisdictions plus 1 of the Community Advisory Committee members. And the role of this committee will be to advise the decision makers, i.e. the road owner, which is ODOT and the City of Forest Grove, as well as project leadership. We are thinking that this group will likely gather 2 to 3 times a year, likely at major design milestones. So I think that's the end of our presentation.
Thank you. I just want to conclude here with the board is, as was stated, with federal, state, and local financial support, we're working closely with the local jurisdictions. As what was stated earlier, we're going to be the lead agency for project development and construction. The estimated cost is about $300 million that's there, and the project will be seeking about $150 million from the FTA Small Start program. The remaining of the local match for the project will come from TriMet, the state of Oregon, local jurisdictions, and also additional grant opportunities, and I recommend your approval.
Thank you, General Manager. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 250525?
Missing our fellow board colleague and lead champion on this project, I will so move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and second. Does anyone on the board wish to comment before we vote? Director Frisbee?
Thank you for your presentation and your work. I think you got a lot of kudos and flowers when you came to us last month, and I would just reinforce it. This project is so exciting. I am wondering, and it is totally fine if the answer is we don't want to talk about that right now, but if there are more details on the local match and sort of expected contributions, I think that would be helpful. This is always a really tough negotiation and process, and TriMet puts a lot forward. There's also a lot of other partners in the state who need to play a part in that. So would love your thoughts to the extent that you feel comfortable sharing. The other piece that I would just flag that you obviously know, but I will sort of articulate it, I think, this project it's such an interesting one from my perspective. There's the whole safety piece, which is both critical to transit and like a huge additional component. But the other pieces I was thinking about this from a pure transit perspective is this is both sort of a more typical BRT line, and it's so long that it's practically a commuter bus route in a way that I don't think of our district as having a lot of. And so in particular, thinking about stop location, that is a particularly challenging opportunity for you guys. And I just wanted to highlight and acknowledge that and trying to strike that balance. I know making sure there is access, but you know, a 2x compared to driving in terms of time is not an outcome that works for anyone. And so just highlighting that challenge that you're well aware of and saying, we appreciate your work. I know this team is well equipped to handle that. And I think the board looks forward to seeing and understanding how we can support you as you wrestle with those pieces.
Great. I will try and answer as best I can your question, Director Frisbee. We have been working really closely with our project partners, the local jurisdictions, to come up with the local match for the project, and everyone along the corridor has been really accommodating, and we are working together to make sure that we have the money to get us all the way through the project. We do have a big ask at the state legislature, and so we are working really closely with our state lobbyist team to understand and see how far we can get with our state partner. We have worked with our partners to get the amount of money needed for project development, and so that was really an exciting milestone to have all of our project partners step up and say, yes, we're in it, this is how we're going to show up, and we're working on those IGAs right now. I did want to just address another comment that Dave might be able to elaborate on, but TV Highway is a really interesting corridor. It does have a lot of ridership. It did bounce back faster than a lot of the other corridors on our system. And we did look really closely at the bus stops along the corridor to understand what is that travel pattern like. And so you would think that it's a big commuter route, but there's a lot of hopping on and off along the corridor, people trying to get just in between different places. So we spend a lot of time looking at each and every bus stop and trying to understand where people were going to and coming from. So we feel really comfortable working with our project partners, working with the community to say that, yeah, we think these are the right locations for these bus stops based on where people want to go and where they're coming from.
Thank you. That's really helpful. And Dave, if you have follow-up.
She did a great job.
As always. Thank you. And I would just say, I know the state conversation is complicated right now. I'm really glad we have the ability to move forward into project development regardless. And I know as a board, we are excited about this project. And I think sometimes the process of finding all the funding takes a little while, and being able to move forward with it during that time period is important. So.
Thank you, Director Frisbee. Director Kellogg?
Thank you. I've got a very difficult question for you. So without being in design and assuming everything goes forward, we're looking at right now the 2x time for car. Is there a projected improvement, a goal? Because if we can't at least closely equalize car travel, then we're going to have trouble increasing ridership, I think.
Yes, thank you. I will start and I'll let Dave chime in. So we are looking at next generation TSP, transit signal priority along the corridor, which will help move both traffic and transit along the corridor, which will help speed things up. The reduction in the number of bus stops will also help improve our transit speed and reliability, as well as making sure that we have near level boarding so that people can get on and off on all doors, and it's a lot less ramp deployment, a lot easier for people to get on and off. It'll help reduce time at the stops. All of these things combined, we're looking and hoping for somewhere between the 15 and 20% travel time savings.
Again, I don't have anything to add. Great answer.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? General Manager?
Just wanted to comment to Director Frisbee's question. Myself and our government affairs, we spent a lot of time with our Ways and Means Committee down at the state of Oregon. I was able to testify in front of the Ways and Means Committee as well with staff, and I think it was a great showing of this region of asking for that. So we've been in conversations also with Washington County, their commission, talking with them about that. And also we continue to work with Metro about putting in additional funds as we move forward.
Just want to say thank you. And I'm looking forward, losing my voice here, that you return with updates. I like to hear how the community gatherings, open houses go, and hear some of the, feedback that you get from the community and hear their voices. I think they play an important part. And see if you learn anything new. Yeah, you never know. Okay, thank you. Excuse me there. All right. We've had a motion. It has been moved, and no, we do need a motion. No, we did have one. Okay.
We followed the rules.
I didn't mark my spot. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion passed. Thank you for your hard work, and thank you for sharing today. We hope to hear from you as it moves along. Thank you. Okay. Amazing what you can do when you lose your voice. All right. No, I got some. I have hot water there, but I didn't want to stop and grab. Moving along to Resolution 3. Next, the board will consider Resolution 250526, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with Multnomah County for the district attorney investigation and prosecution services. General Manager, do you have any comments for us on this resolution?
Thanks, President Lewis, members of the board. The intergovernmental agreement that TriMet has with Multnomah County District Attorney's Office expires at the end of next month. So TriMet's partnership with the DA's office is critical to addressing criminal activity on and around our system. It also increases safety for our riders, employees, and the community. Under the new agreement, the Multnomah County District Attorney Office will continue to provide TriMet the services of 2 deputy district attorneys, 1 dedicated to felony cases, and the other focuses on misdemeanor cases. And we would continue contracting for 2 district attorney investigators to support the deputy district attorneys. These investigators have helped achieve positive outcomes in the cases brought forward for prosecution. I'll note to you, board, that in 2024, 97% of felony cases and 90% of misdemeanor cases related to TriMet, which were referred to the DA's office, successfully moved forward to prosecution. That's an impressive rate. Now to the new proposed agreement coming before you this morning are 2 DA employees to help support successfully prosecution and help support our employees who find themselves victims of crime. 1 legal assistant and 1 victim's advocate for TriMet staff. The board's approval of this IGA would continue to strengthen the collaboration of TriMet's Safety and Security Division, the Multnomah County District Attorney, the Transit Police Division, and Multnomah County Sheriff Office. It frees up police staff to focus on security missions, and it increases our ability to hold people accountable for the crimes they commit around the transit system. And it improves the overall safety and security for the benefit of TriMet's riders, employees, and the public. Under Oregon law, an IGA is exempt from state procurement rules. The terms were negotiated between the District Attorney's Office and Andrew Wilson, our Executive Director of Safety and Security. The IGA total cost for the first year is under $1.4 million, with a 5-year total estimated just under $7.8 million, and I recommend your approval.
Thank you, General Manager. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 250526?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and second. Does anyone on the board wish to share any comments, feedback before we vote? Okay, seeing and hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
You look great, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you for coming up. Okay, we move to Resolution 4. The next resolution before the board is Resolution 250527, authorizing a contract with Advanced Railway Innovations Incorporated for qualified protection persons services for on-track safety of roadway workers and work groups. General Manager, do you have any comments on this resolution?
President Lewis, members of the board, federal regulation requires TriMet to provide road worker protection for maintenance personnel who work in and around the right-of-way of our light rail system, MAGS. District-wide, about 40% of all maintenance grounds are in the right-of-way. To comply with this requirement, TriMet's facilities maintenance provides what's known as QPP, or Qualified Protection Persons, to support regular grounds maintenance in the right-of-way. A QPP provides lookout duties to warn workers of oncoming trains. They also stay in radio contact with TriMet's rail control. It is their responsibility to start, stop, and/or move workers to ensure life safety while allowing efficient train movement through work zones. TriMet's facilities management works with 3 to 5 qualified protection persons for 3 to 5 days per week year-round. Having a contracted QPP allows our work crews to remain focused on the work. A total of 326 vendors were notified of TriMet's invitation to bid, but we received only 1 response from Advanced Railway Technology. Their bid came in at a rate much lower than TriMet's independent cost estimate. The proposed contract is for a 5-year term for about $1.5 million. Total contract costs will be based on TriMet's actual use over the term, and I recommend your approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 250527?
So moved.
Oh, thank you. Got stereo. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and second. Does anyone wish to comment before we vote? Okay, Director Frisbee?
Thank you. I have a question that's a speculative question for Jeff. Both this and the next resolution we'll look at are the bids, at least one of the bids in each situation came in really under our projection, our projected cost. I was wondering if that struck me as new or something that we don't see very frequently. I was wondering if you're seeing that happen more often or if that is just a fluke in the way the contracts worked out this month.
Thank you, Director Frisbee. It is definitely not something we see often. There are some comments in the memo I was just looking at that marked that they had reduced their own rates. And to be honest, I don't know. we don't see bids that come in below and significantly below our own cost estimate this frequently. It could be reflective of a business change in the competitive environment. Who knows? We did only get one bid, and it's from our legacy contractor for QPPs. So.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none? Okay. Thank you. I will call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Motion carries. Resolution 5. Now we will consider Resolution 0528, authorizing a contract with MJ Hughes Construction for the replacement of a security fence for Ruby Junction Light Rail Vehicle Yard. General Manager, do you have comments on this resolution?
President Lewis, members of the board, our Ruby Junction Light Rail Vehicle Yard is located at 11 Mile Avenue in Gresham. It includes two properties enclosed by about 4,400 linear feet of fencing. The fencing was installed as the Ruby Junction facilities were developed over a 20-year period between 1983 and 2004. A lot of this fence has deteriorated over time. It no longer meets TriMet security and asset protection standards and must be replaced to maintain a state of good repair and keep our infrastructure safe. This contract will replace the existing fencing with a new heavy-duty cut resistance fence system. Without it, TriMet's light rail vehicles, non-revenue vehicles, buildings, and personnel will be exposed to increased risks of vandalism, theft, and damage. TriMet issued an invitation to bid and notified about 430 vendors. Ultimately, 4 vendors submitted bids. MJ Hughes Construction bid was the lowest and one of the 3 to come in under TriMet's independent cost estimate. This resolution would authorize an award of the contract to MJ Hughes in the amount of $1.8 million with a contract term of 2 years. The amount is included within Maintenance Division's FY 2026 budget and will be paid from TriMet's general funds, and I recommend your approval.
Thank you, General Manager. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 250528?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and second. Does anyone wish to comment before we vote? Okay, seeing none and hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Okay. To everyone, that concludes our formal public business for today in the context of the 2 discussion draft resolutions that we reviewed and discussed. If either of them had been in effect, we would not have had to consider the last 2 resolutions. At this time, the board's business meeting is adjourned. Okay. Oh. However, we will take a 15-minute break. We will convene for the board here at 4. That you have here, take